Hey guys, Alec back here again. And a topic I want to discuss today is related to training, employee training, management training, sales training, accounting department training. There's a lot of people out there that provide this kind of training. And from an owner's standpoint, how I view it, and maybe you do agree with me on this, I think most people would agree, is that I treat it as a cost. I got to spend some money to train some people. What am I going to benefit from it? Maybe I will, maybe I won't. How do I measure that? There's a lot of trainers out there. They call themselves trainers, coaches. Um, they provide a service, but if it's me as a business owner and I'm approached by such individuals, I have to ask the question. I mean, how do I know that I'm going to get value for my dollar spent? How do you measure that? I mean, if somebody knows how to measure it, comment down below. Let me know how you can potentially measure that. How do you make a decision? How do you make a business decision on training when we're talking about something in the ether? Like, what am I going to benefit? What is my benefit? Do we have an approximate expectation of what my benefit is? The thing is, when it comes to consulting work, the way that I do it, training eventually comes from certain things. But first, we need to understand what the problem is, and we don't just need to understand what the problem is. Like, we have a sales problem. Well, how do we have a sales problem? What is the sales problem? Where is the problem? My sales guys don't sell enough. Compared to what? What are we trying to do? We need to ask the right questions. Like, what's the sales goal for next year? What's the sales goal for next month? How many salespeople do we have? What are they supposed to bring in? Do we know what the break even is on each salesperson? Do we understand what that is? Many times we don't. So when you have a general manager, for instance, that's not happy with the performance of a particular salesperson, does that salesperson truly understand what the expectations are? Giving them a quota is not enough. They need to understand what has to be done in order to achieve those numbers. So, that's what we're talking about, sales training. Tangibly, we need to understand what are the problems that we're trying to solve and what are they in terms of dollars, at least on an order of magnitude. We're never going to get it down to the dollar in terms of the size of the problem from a dollar standpoint. But through speaking with ownership, we will understand the scope of the issue in terms of what we're trying to achieve. And then and only then does it make sense to do training with the sales staff. Okay, management training. I've been asked many times, well, my department manager, I think he can do better. He's just not doing good enough. Again, you need to ask, before we start doing any training, what are we trying to achieve? Does the manager understand the expectations? Is his role or her role and their responsibilities clear? Is it defined? Is it in writing? Do we understand that? Do they understand that? Has that been communicated properly? And if we correct these problems, what expected result do we feel that we're going to have? It's very, very common that the business owner has a very good idea of what those numbers are from a dollar standpoint in terms of improvement. And then we can do that. We can find out what that is. at least from a magnitude standpoint, by having those conversations and asking those questions. But again, to go directly into, let's just do some management training just for the sake of doing management training, I don't think that that's a useful use of company resources. I think it's important to understand what we're trying to achieve first, and then build a training program for the manager or the management team after we understand what we're trying to do. Okay. Same goes for the finance area, the accounting area. Well, I've heard this many times. Our accounts receivable person, they just don't do. I've talked to them, and they just can't seem to get things done the way I want it done. Okay. Again, I have to ask the question: are the expectations clearly defined? What are they supposed to do? What are they expected to do? Do they really understand that? Well, something generic like, I expect them to follow up with the customers that haven't paid yet. That's not enough. There needs to be a process put in place. And once the process is defined between ownership and myself or another one of our consultants, then we put that in terms of a flow chart, and then we can lay that out and provide the training for the person in order to accomplish what we want to achieve, at least work towards it. Okay, so I hope that kind of explains things. Just to do training off-right just for the sake of doing training without defined goals, when you can define them in terms of a magnitude of a dollar value, to me makes no sense. And you, very well, maybe it doesn't make sense to you as a business owner either, but I'm just explaining what we need to do. We need to define problem. We need to define what the magnitude of the problem is. And only then does it make sense to do any kind of training, which provides that value back to the ownership. So I hope that has been clear. That's all I wanted to cover on this topic today. If you have any comments related to this, please post them down below. And now, fun fact. Did you know that oranges were originally not orange? Oranges are a cross between a mandarin and a pomelo. Orange is originally green, and they still grow green in Vietnam and the Thailand area, but they're a hybrid between the pomelo and the mandarin. That's the oranges that we have today that are orange. So, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. You'll receive all the latest videos once they're posted. And do share it with any other business owners that you feel this might be helpful for. Until next time, keep raising your profit.